For many, the state of Illinois begins here on the shore of Lake Michigan, in the third largest city in the United States. Chicago is 29 miles of lake frontage, 15 miles of public beach, and nearly 7 million people. The city is arguably one of the fairest maidens of this fair country.
Welcome to beautiful Wrigley Field, home of the Chicago Cubs.
This is a professional sports town. Two professional baseball teams, the White Sox at Kaminsky Park, or U.S. Cellular Field as it's known today, on the south side. Playing this day on the north side, at one of the country's great icons of baseball, Wrigley Field, the Chicago Cubs. Competition elevated to a fevered pitch.
Greatest city to watch baseball, especially the Cubs.
Baseball in Chicago is wonderful. You can't beat it. The greatest city on the earth. Two teams, and we love both of them.
Hey, Chicago baseball, greatest city for baseball, period. Because you got the tradition, you got the Cubs, you got the Sox, you got the rivalry, you got the love of the game.
You got the friendly confines right here. This is one of the best stadiums, I think, in the country. And my friends decided to take me here for my bachelor party, and that's what I want to do. So go Cubbies, and we'll see what happens.
Go Cubs!
You can't beat it, Cubs fans around the nation. Cubs fans are the best.
Baseball, basketball, football, and hockey consume the sports-minded. If they're not watching it, then they're on the beach and in the parks, running, walking, biking, skating, swimming, or volleyball. Author and historian James Bryce observed, Chicago is the most typically American place in America. Location, location, location. Chicago has it in spades. Mark Twain observed in his book Life on the Mississippi, Chicago, a city where they are always rubbing a lamp and fetching up the genie, and contriving and achieving new impossibilities. It is hopeless for the occasional visitor to try to keep up with Chicago. She outgrows her prophecies faster than she can make them. She is always a novelty, for she is never the Chicago you saw when you passed through the last time. Old parks languish in their extravagant splendor, crossed by the most modern of modern vehicles. Even Chicago police are using Segways on patrol. The new open space in town, right on Michigan Avenue, Millennium Park. 24.5 acres, $475 million worth. This clearly is not just another greensward. There's an 11,000 square foot amphitheater by internationally acclaimed architect Frank Gehry. A huge 110 sculpture from artist Anish Kapoor, Cloudgate. Water cascades from a pair of towering glass inspirations by Spanish sculptor James Plensa, with a special surprise. The glee with which the water has been embraced is a surprise to park managers, but probably not to its designer. Michigan Avenue is the fulcrum of the city, around which modern life here revolves. Chicago's magnificent mile on Michigan Avenue is world-class shopping. 460 retail stores and boutiques, a diverse mix of American and international style. The city skyline is a magnificent example of American architecture at its finest. The second tallest building in the world, the Sears Tower, anchors the south end, 1,480 feet. The Field Museum of Natural History, an architectural masterpiece of the 1920s, is named after its first major benefactor, Marshall Field. The museum houses a remarkable array of anthropologic and biological collections. The Field scientific and research staff work closely with local universities, international leaders in evolutionary biology, paleontology, and archaeology. Complementing the Field collection, the Art Institute of Chicago holds the largest repository of Impressionist paintings outside of the Louvre in Paris. In Oak Park, just outside Chicago, in a neighborhood of Victorian homes, Illinois' favorite son architect Frank Lloyd Wright began his career.
This is where he started his architectural practice. He came to Chicago as a very young man. He was only 20 years old. And when he met what was to be his future wife, Catherine, he came out to Oak Park because he decided this would be a good place to live. It was very easy to get here from the city, and he was just starting his career. So they came out here, bought this land, and he built the house first, which was built in 1889. And in 1898, he added the studio where we're standing today. And you can see from where we are right here, he wanted it to be a very rich, engaging place. And there's beautiful art glass on the ceiling, beautiful bronze-colored walls, and everything about it has been very well thought out. And that's one of the things about Frank Lloyd Wright that's really unique. He thought about every element in a building. There was nothing that was left to chance. And he was very creative about it. And when you see the finished product, starting in here in his home and studio, and then in his later buildings, you see how that really happened. And he used this building, the home and studio, as an experimental laboratory. He was testing out his techniques, and this is where he developed the prairie style of architecture, for which he's most commonly known. He was here for 20 years, and we've restored this building to 1909. Mr. Wright believed in breaking open the box. He wanted to have wide open spaces where people could come in, and when you come in the front door of the home, you see that you can see all the way through to what was originally the dining room with very wide doorways, where the typical Victorian home would have a center hallway with square rooms off of it. So it's much more welcoming, it's much more open, and is the precursor to a lot of things people still do today.
Examples of Wright's early designs are salted throughout the historic Oak Park neighborhood. America's favorite highway, historic Route 66, began its trek to California here at Buckingham Fountain. A dozen or so blocks down the highway, the first official stop, Lou Mitchell's Diner. As historic Route 66 continues west, it runs through Joliet. In downtown Joliet, a magnificent monument to the vaudeville era of the 20s, the Rialto Theater.
In the early 20s, in this immediate area and surrounding areas, there were 10 theaters. There were 10 or 6 Reuben brothers here in Joliet that had their fingers in all of the theaters, and they wanted something better than what they had. They hired C.W. and George Rapp architects from Chicago, and this is what they came up with. This part of the theater that you're in right now is designed after the Hall of Mirrors, the Palace Versailles, just outside of Paris. It cost $2.7 million to build this. When they built it, it took almost 3 years. The arch here is designed after the Arch of Triumph in Paris. The chandeliers that you see in here, there's roughly about 200 of them in the theater. They are Czechoslovakian cut crystal, cut glass. The big chandelier there, known as the Duchess, is 22 feet high. It weighs 2.5 tons. It has 250 lights on it inside of it. In the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they were showing movies here at the theater. 1975, they shut the doors and were going to tear this building down. We had a music teacher by the name of Dorothy Maverick here in Joliet that says no. She started a campaign, got National Register out here. They looked the building over and said, yes, it's worth saving. So they started renovating in the late 80s, or late 70s, reopened November 1981, $6.5 million later.
This is our 427 Barton Grand Theater organ, built in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, back in 1926 for $10,500. We saw an article in the paper about 4 years ago that this would be $3 million to replace it brand new. Well, number one, I love music, and I love to perform for people. I really do, and I love to get the interaction with the people. They're all about my age or a little bit older, and they haven't seen this for a while because usually these are not available to a lot of people anymore. They are in theaters across the country, but not necessarily where these people are from.
Just outside Joliet, Challenge Park Extreme, a $7.5 million, 24-acre park dedicated to extreme sports.
It all started out in the North Shore of British Columbia. Guys built ladders above the ground to keep from eroding the earth, and it just became a little more difficult, a little higher, a little skinnier, and it just has grown from the west coast and it's going all across the east coast, and we happened upon the land here to start building, and we're now building whatever we can imagine and make up. We have ladders that are up to 20 feet tall. We've got skinny ladders that are maybe not quite so high off the ground, but maybe 6-8 inches wide. We've got gaps in the ladders that you have to jump over. We've got step downs. Basically whatever we can imagine up is what we're building.
That log run is pretty unique. Apparently that's the only one in existence, and we got it here at Challenge Park. A lot of people play golf because it's hard. I play this because it's hard and it hurts you. So the trick is to look in front of you and look where you want to go, not where you don't want to go. It's the biggest thing. A lot of pain, a lot of money in bike parts, but you know, there's a lot of people out here that come out and do all this stuff without ever wrecking, without ever breaking apart. Those are the real guys. I'm just out here having fun. The Team Sally guys do a great job building all this stuff, very innovative. They do a real good job. You know, they're the real stars of what makes all this happen and makes it all possible.
Nice. Got it. You okay?
Yeah. It's a challenge. There's a challenge there to either make it or not make it, succeed or not succeed, and you know, as we ride this stuff and make it more difficult, we put more body armor on and hope that we don't hurt ourselves. But it's just a challenge. It's more of a skill level. It's more technical. It plays with your inner being a little bit. You know, makes you concentrate a little bit more. Just a different version of mountain biking. He's just off the ground now.
All right, guys, come here and listen up. All right, guys, it's the field of bedlam. First most important rule out here, you have to have your goggles on. Do not lift your goggles on the field. Cars on the field, do not go in them, on top of them, underneath them. Back corner building has a second story. Use the handrails going up, coming down. 2 people max that tower, no more. Blind fire, not to be allowed. Make sure your head is always behind your gun so you're looking at what you're shooting at. If you see blind fire, we'll call you out right away. We're playing a straight game of elimination. Just shoot out the other team. That's the only objectives. Any questions?
All right, both teams, listen up. This is going to be a 10-minute game of elimination on the field of bedlam. I wish luck to both teams. The game will begin on my mark. Go, 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 go!
At a cerebral level, this may be a bit offensive to some, but when you're a player, it's a high drama and great sport. Over 9 million participants in the United States alone.
So how'd you guys do?
Awesome. Oh, awesome, man. We got him. Bone rush. Yeah.
It's fun. Scary the first game, and then after that, you get used to it. It's fun.
What they do now is this is where they're getting ready to come out from. I think last time you saw them coming from the other side. This group will get ready. They're gonna, when they yell game on, they're gonna take off running into their positions.
Go, 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 go!
The objective on this one is just to shoot out the other team. We have a regulation out that you can't shoot higher than 220 or not, right? And so what they do is they'll check your gun. If your gun is shooting hot, you have to go off and turn it down. That's the way we ensure that nobody's getting hurt.
Car behind firehouse! Felipe, behind the car!
It really doesn't hurt. It's more of a startle factor than anything else. It feels like someone flicks you.
I got shot in the hand. On the first one, I got shot in the face.
You know, you don't. When it happens, you jump and then you walk away and you're laughing. So it really doesn't hurt hardly at all.
Extreme Parks Town, Armageddon is a $1.5 million field built like a Hollywood movie set. Reportedly, one of the best in the United States.
Before you even get your rental equipment, you have to go through about a 10-minute safety briefing where we explain how to use the marker. We explain that you have to keep your goggles on. We have a video that explains some features of the field that you need to be aware of. And once that point, then you get your equipment and get your paint before you even set foot anywhere near a field. So we really try and ensure that you know what you're doing before you get out there and try and do it.
In addition to paintball and mountain biking, a world-class skate park. New in 2004, outdoor lawn concerts. The Mississippi River pours southward along Illinois' entire eastern border. It remains an important waterway for cargo, though in the early 1800s the mighty Mississippi was a crucial element in the expansion west and to the prosperity of states along its ever-changing banks. Galena's customs port in the northeastern part of the state was a booming community in the 1800s, first with Mississippi riverboats jammed up to Galena's piers. In the mid-1800s, with the arrival of the railroad, steamboat traffic became less important. The river silted in, leaving only memories of those boomtown riverboat days. In the 21st century, 85% of this entire community is on the historic register. This is clearly one of America's most remarkable collections of original 19th century architecture extant today in a living, working town. The old Custom House and Post Office is the second oldest continuously operating post office in the United States. Galena was General Grant's home after the Civil War. It was from this station he left for the presidency, and here he returned. Galena is the second most visited tourist destination in the entire state. The DeSoto House Hotel, now a couple of stories shorter than it was during its heyday, was General Grant's presidential campaign headquarters. Both he and Lincoln spoke from the DeSoto's balcony.
Welcome to Galena. My name is Ron, and welcome to Brill's Trolleys Tour. Coming up as we cross the street, and the right is our fire department today. That building was built in 1940, but it was made to look like the building next to it, the Turner Hall, which goes back to the 1800s. Now next we're coming up to the Methodist Church. This is the oldest church in Galena, dating back to 1829. And if you look right next door, you see the little brick building. That is the oldest brick fire station in the state of Illinois, dating back to 1851. Now on your right, we have the museum today. 1858, that was Mr. Frank Barrow's home. He was a big lumber dealer here. In the 1920s, it was added on to, and today it's our museum. And the large brick home with the white trim on it, this is the Belvedere House. The Belvedere House dates back to 1857. There's 22 rooms in here, approximately 5,000 square feet, and over $2.5 million in antiques.
In addition to all Galena's historic charm, just outside town, Chestnut Mountain Ski Resort. One of the only resorts in the United States where you can ski straight down to the Mississippi River. Getting down the hill in summer, a popular ride for young and old.